All right, guys. So I had someone send this particular problem to me. It is from the study plan. So I think this is actually a review question that one of our peers was working out and had a question about. So let's work this one out together. It says find the equation for the circle with center 1, -3, and it passes through point 5, -4. So let's think about that for a minute. So what I know is that on a coordinate plane somewhere, I have at point 1, -3, so it's down here somewhere, the center of a circle. And I also, if because it's the center of a circle, I know, and I'm just sketching this out, that I'm going to have a circle somewhere like this. And I know that 5, -4 is going to be a point that is on that circle. Okay. So there's two things that's given to me. All right. So you need to ask yourself, well, they're asking for the equation of a circle. What things or what do I need to know to create the equation of a circle? There's two things you need for the equation of a circle. And let me get my pen the way I want it. So the two things we need for the equation of a circle is your center. You need your center and you need your radius. Because to write the equation of a circle in standard form, it is x minus h all squared plus y minus k all squared is equal to r squared. If you remember, the h and the k, that is the center of our circle. R r is equal to the radius of our circle. So let's talk about those. That's the two things that you need. You need your center and you need your radius. But guys, they gave me the center of my circle. They told me that the center of my circle was at 1, -3. So what I know then is that my h is going to be equal to 1 and my k is equal to -3. What I do not know is the radius, and your radius is that distance from the center of your circle to that point on the actual circle itself. So your radius is your distance between the center and that point. So that's the only thing I need to find. So what I need to do, we need to find, we need to find R. And R is the distance. So I'm going to slide this over just a bit. We can move this back. So I need to find the distance between the point 1, -3 and 5, -4. So how do we find the distance between 2 points? Well, we have that distance formula. It is the distance is equal to the square root of it don't really matter which one you put first. Different people try to put their x's or y's. It doesn't really matter. But I'm gonna say x sub 2 minus your x sub 1 squared plus your y sub 2 minus your y sub 1 squared. The biggest problem here, usually this is where students run into trouble. And what they do is they kind of put the wrong points or the wrong numbers in the wrong spots. So what I like to do is if I'm going to designate this as point 1, I'm going to label this as my x sub 1 and label this as my y sub 1. That's a big thing that I see students do all the time is they just kind of mix up that x and that y, and then they mix up point 1 with point 2, and then your numbers just don't come out the way we want them to come out. So I'm going to let this be my point number 2. So that means that this would be x sub 2, and then this would be y sub 2. And from there, we take what we have and we plug it into that formula. My x sub 2 is 5 minus my x sub 1, which is 1, all squared, plus that y sub 2, which is -4, minus that y sub 1, which is negative 3. And I'm going to put this because I don't want to confuse anybody. And then that's going to be all squared. So what I could have done, guys, is wrote that negative minus a negative as addition. So what I really have here is that the distance is equal to, and I'm not going to simplify this just yet, that's 5 minus 1 all squared plus negative 4 plus 3 all squared. And let's simplify that a little bit. 5 minus 1 is 4, right? So that's 4. 4 squared is 16 plus negative 1. Oh, I gave you the answer, right? Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. Negative 1 squared is a positive 1. So my distance, guys, is equal to the square root of 17. So if I go back, let's see if I can put this where I can see everything. Not quite. Let's kind of zoom this out. There we go. So I have my radius. My radius is equal to the square root of 17. My center is at 1, negative 3. From there, I just substitute into my equation. And again, that is what we call the standard form for circle, right? So it's going to be x minus h. Well, h is 1. So 1 all squared plus y minus k, well, k is actually negative 3, is equal to my radius. My radius is the square root of 17. It's r squared. And I didn't really have to write it all out that way. I'm going the long way around because I know I have students with some questions, and I want to make sure everybody can understand where all the signs come from and why the numbers end up being exactly what they are. So my final answer here is going to be x minus 1 all squared plus y, that minus a negative is going to change to plus 3 all squared equals to, and when I square this square root, those are kind of like, I like to say they're like inverses of one another, right? They're opposites is what a lot of students say. Um, but when you square that square root, they kind of undo one another, and what you're left with here is just 17. So guys, this here is your final answer. That is the equation of that circle with those points in standard form.